This is my war. Alone.
Welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Harriet, and this is all the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in the first trailer for Secret Invasion. So this Secret Invasion series is based on a huge crossover storyline from the comics that shares the same name. Skrulls, the shape-shifting aliens we saw in Captain Marvel, they invade Earth.
Secretly.
That's right. So, before we get into the trailer, I'm going to give you a little background on the books, which can give us some hints about what we're going to see in this series. So, in the comics, the Skrulls replace people from every walk of life, including iconic heroes such as Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Woman, and Wolverine.
We are everywhere. You will see.
Hey there, can I help you?
Oh yes, hello. I'm looking for Top Gun. The original?
Oh yeah, it's under D for doesn't hold up. I said what I said.
Now, the MCU flipped the script on the Skrulls by making them good guys back in Captain Marvel, instead of their typical villainous roles we've seen them play in the comics. Now, we got to see a great twist in Captain Marvel, revealing that the Skrulls have been oppressed by another race of aliens called the Kree.
My people lived as refugees on Torfa, homeless, ever since we resisted Kree rule and they destroyed our planet.
So that's where we left this. The Skrulls are good guys, they're refugees leaving for a better life somewhere out in the galaxy, being led by Captain Marvel. And now, it's decades later and the trailer begins. The trailer opens in the woods.
I hate the woods.
When Fury beams down onto Earth, you instantly get this classic alien invasion thriller movie vibe. Eerie music plays. And right away, these woods make us subconsciously think that there's something hidden out there, something primal. The trailer deals a lot with hidden faces, threats tucked into the shadows, and this mood is set in this very first shot. And Fury's silhouette initially looks like a tall alien in body, and this whole scene is very reminiscent of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. The theme at the heart of that movie is that the human beings know that the aliens are coming, but they spend the entire film trying to figure out if they're going to be a threat. Sort of like in this series.
Excuse me, I couldn't find the movie, but could I have a haircut?
Well, this is a video store and I am not a barber, but sure thing.
Wow, I look great. I thought you said you couldn't cut hair.
Well, anybody can cut the right kind of hair with Manscaped. They're the sponsor of this video. Manscaped is the global leader in men's grooming tools and hygiene solutions, and this is their Performance Package 4.0. Now, you've already met the Landscaped Lawnmower Body Trimmer with ceramic blades and a skin-safe guard. Plus, it has a 7,000 RPM motor and a 4,000K LED spotlight, so you can see in the shadowy nether areas where you might be trimming. I think you guys know, it's really easy to hurt yourself down there if you don't have the proper tools. This is the Weed Whacker nose hair and ear hair trimmer with the same skin-safe technology, so you don't tug on your ear and nose hairs. The package also comes with these hygiene products like the Manscaped Body Wash and the shampoo and conditioner. I use both and they smell great. We've also got the aluminum-free stick deodorant and the Crop Preserver ball deodorant. The ball deodorant has this soothing aloe vera formula that keeps you fresh and dry below the belt. I mean, here's the thing, guys. We all want to stay clean and hygienic, we all want to smell nice, and Manscaped makes the best products for guys like us. They understand male hygiene. All of this is specifically made for men. So we got a couple deals for you. For a limited time, you get all of this, plus 2 free gifts. We have the Shed Travel Bag and these Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Shorts. Just click our link in the description to get 20% off, plus free international shipping, plus these 2 free gifts when you enter our promo code at checkout. Back to the Easter eggs.
Fury is likely returning to Earth for the first time since we last saw him in the post-credits scene of Spider-Man Far From Home. In this scene, he's in a spaceship on board a Skrull ship.
Got my shoes!
In that post-credits scene, we learned that Talos and his wife Soren have been filling in for Nick Fury and Maria Hill back on Earth. Talos and Soren are Skrulls that we met in Captain Marvel who also happen to be married.
Talos.
In Spider-Man No Way Home, we hear it mentioned again that Fury has been off-planet for the last year.
Nick Fury has been off-planet for the last year.
What? Now, as we'll talk about later in this trailer, I wonder if the Department of Damage Control might actually be under the control of the Skrulls, which is how they knew that Fury was off-world. And if it turns out that the DODC is controlled by evil Skrulls, then maybe the Fury that we see at the end of Far From Home was actually an evil Skrull all along.
What?
We don't know who's good or who's evil, and that's the crux of this show, and I love it. After Fury exits what appears to be a shuttle, we cut to him entering a bar to meet Maria Hill. I am pretty confident that this is the real Nick Fury who is a good guy. Now, I always assumed that Maria Hill was off-planet with Nick Fury, but in this trailer we learned that she's been on Earth the whole time. We hear Maria say to Nick that she knows that he's been avoiding Earth, and that she's called him for help many times, but she's always been sent to voicemail, which is kind of a reference to this.
You sent Nick Fury to voicemail?
Yeah.
You don't send Nick Fury to voicemail.
Which makes me wonder, if Maria Hill hasn't been off planet with Fury, then why was a Skrull filling in for her in Far From Home? Is it possible that Maria Hill and the Skrull Soren are actually the same person and have been the same person all along? What if Soren has been Maria Hill ever since the Avengers and Nick Fury has always known? If that's the case, then that means a Skrull was working very closely with the Avengers in Age of Ultron and for Tony Stark at the heart of his organization, gathering intel that the evil Skrulls would now have access to. So we know that Fury is close with the Skrulls and has known them for decades, and clearly at some point Talos returned to Earth to work with Fury, so it only makes sense that his wife, Soren, would also come with him. But the more likely explanation is that Maria Hill was working on an undercover mission in another part of the world. This non-smoking sign at the bar that Maria and Fury are meeting at is written in Russian, so Maria has likely been in Russia working on a mission, and Soren has been filling in for her back in the US. In the bar, we also see a chessboard in the foreground. Now, keep in mind, chess is very popular in Russia, but the chessboard could also be an indication of the story to come, that it's going to be an intricate strategic game, like a game of chess. When Maria Hill confronts Fury about his absence, he says that the situation at hand is different than any other mission, hinting that something really big is going to be going down. Now, whether it was Fury who called Maria Hill or Maria Hill who called Fury, it's still unclear. If it was Maria who called Fury back to Earth, then she may be expressing her confusion as to why Nick responded to this request and none of the others, perhaps implying that Maria doesn't yet know the severity of the mission at hand. Now, if it was Fury who called Maria Hill, then her comments in the trailer are simply frustration that Fury is asking her for help after months or years of ignoring her calls. I don't know, if you're on Skrull Watch and you want to say that one character who's been in the MCU for years turns out to be an evil Skrull, Maria Hill, pretty high up on my list. But there's another person on that list who we think is an even more likely candidate to be a Skrull, and that is Lieutenant James Rhodes, aka Rhodey, aka War Machine.
War Machine coming at you.
Now, we know Rhodey is a military man, and we most recently saw him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier at an event honoring Captain America at the Smithsonian. At the event, he is wearing his formal military uniform, but in this trailer we see that Rhodey is wearing just a regular suit with an American flag pin, making me think that he may now be an elected official, such as a US Senator. I mean, just think of that campaign ad.
A decorated war veteran played a key role in bringing back half the population and went toe-to-toe with Thanos' army in a battle to save the universe. He deserves your vote. Vote Rhodey. Vote War Machine for US Senator.
So another clue that Rhodey is now a political figure is the fact that he has a security detail, and the fact that he and Fury have to meet in a completely empty restaurant for their meeting to be safe. But personally, I don't think Rhodey became a politician. I think he became the Secretary of State. Having the foreign affairs experience that he does, he would be a great advisor to the president, not only advising on foreign countries, but also planets and realms as well, considering that he's had experience in those areas as an Avenger. Now, we hear Fury ask Rhodey how much he knows about his security detail, meaning Fury may be suspicious that Skrulls have infiltrated the people surrounding Rhodey. Now, while we think that Rhodey's detail may indeed have Skrulls in it, what if Rhodey himself has also become compromised? What if this isn't even the real Rhodey?
Or you mean like what if it's Terrence Howard?
Yeah, no. Good one. We think that we may find out that Rhodey has been replaced by a Skrull at some point between Falcon and the Winter Soldier and now, or that he's been a Skrull all along, and that the Skrulls are now using Rhodey's impressive resume and position in the federal government to gain political power. This would explain how a man who was content to stay in the military and be a superhero suddenly wanted to become a politician.
You've been watching those lizard people running the government videos again, haven't you?
Yes, because they totally are. So there's also a parallel between the two places that Fury enters. Hill is in a crowded bar, where Rhodey is isolated and alone. This could be an indication that Rhodey is isolated, as in he's surrounded by humans when he himself is a Skrull. Next, we see a shot of Agent Everett Ross being a sneaky little hobbit.
I understood that reference.
Everett Ross is a State Department agent, first appearing in Captain America Civil War, and then again in Black Panther, and he'll also be in Wakanda Forever.
Where am I?
Don't scare me like that, colonizer.
And we aren't sure who this lady holding the gun is. We see that she's standing in front of a safety deposit box and that she's holding an envelope that she took the gun from. One possibility is that she is a relative or a loved one of Nick Fury's, and maybe Nick has left her this gun to protect herself in these uncertain times. It could be this gun has some special meaning, that it's actually been created to kill Skrulls or to reveal a Skrull after somebody's been shot. Or maybe she's not picking up the gun, but dropping it off for Fury. The next shot shows doors being broken open, followed followed by this shot of Nick holding what looks to be the same handgun. Now, looking closer at this shot, we can see that Nick Fury is here in the black trench coat and red t-shirt, and someone else is ripping the lock chain off this door. We're pretty sure that this is Talos in his human disguise, because in the next shot, we see Fury in the same trench coat and red shirt, and Talos is walking behind him. Now, in Captain Marvel, we saw Talos take on the form of S.H.I.E.L.D. director R. Keller. R. Keller. Now, what's interesting is that the same actor, Ben Mendelsohn, who you probably recognize as director Krennic from Rogue One,
Your signal will never reach the rebel base. All your ships in here will be destroyed.
and also from Dark Knight Rises,
I did not know that.
yeah, Mendelsohn plays both Talos and director Keller in Captain Marvel. So Talos is in a human disguise so he doesn't stick out or draw attention as a Skrull. Now, at this point, director Keller should be like decades older than this, so it's kind of weird that he chooses this form as a disguise. But we think that the reason Talos has chosen director Keller as this disguise is likely because Keller is a skin that Talos already has in his gallery of people that he can transform into. Remember, when we see the Skrulls emerge from the ocean in Captain Marvel, they shapeshift into humans that they just see on the beach. So they can't just like make up human faces. They have to imprint a real human onto their minds. Similar to how in the Transformers movies they scan cars that they transform into. In this shot, we see glowing body bags. Now, these are likely the bodies of people that the Skrulls have replaced. Could these bags be glowing because they're keeping these people alive? Meaning that the Skrulls didn't kill them, but they are just housing them inside this layer. We also see in this shot actress Olivia Colman, who we can see more clearly a little later in the trailer. She is a treasure, and I'm very excited she's in this show. We then hear Talos say to Fury,
Fury, we gotta be very careful now.
but this line is very clearly two different lines spliced together. The trailer cuts the footage to make it look like Talos is talking to Fury, but Fury appears to be in what looks like a bedroom. And you can tell by the background in this shot of Talos that he's in the same location as this scene. So the be very careful now portion of that line is actually Talos talking to the man sitting across from him. We then see Talos lunge across the table and grab the guy, and then we get this creepy scene where all of the background characters morph into the same person and surround Talos.
You guys have one job, which is to be me, right? So look how I'm standing, look at my posture.
I wonder if them all morphing into the same person is a way of showing that Fury, Talos, and the other protagonists can never know who the leader of this villainous group of Skrulls really is. It's also important to note that this takes place in a restaurant that's advertising the London Portrait Gallery. In other words, a gallery of different faces. Next we see an explosion. Remember kids, not a Marvel project without some explosions. Now, it's rumored that Olivia Colman's character is an agent with MI13. You know MI13.
Name? Bond. James Bond.
So Coleman's character can then be seen going into a meat locker where a man is chained to a chair and seemingly being tortured for information. Then later she's in the meat locker and approaching the guy in the chair with a needle and a syringe. Maybe they're trying to get this guy to admit that he is a Skrull. Maybe this serum automatically turns Skrulls back into their Skrull form. And once they know for sure, they can get other information out of him like where their base is, what their plans are, and most especially, who else have they already replaced. So we now see Fury standing in either Coleman's office or at home where she has 5 clocks on the wall that read different times. This could be taken as an analogy to the Skrulls and Fury's mission. Fury is looking at different clock faces and doesn't know which face is telling the true time. Similar to how Fury is looking at many different people's faces and not sure if they truly are who they claim to be. In fact, this trailer has a lot of faces in it, amplifying this same analogy. For instance, when we see Emilia Clarke's character here, she's walking by blank faces on the wall. We then see Maria Hill with her gun drawn in what looks like the same location that the glowing bodies are being stored. We then get this shot of a crow. Now, crows are often used to represent death, decay, tragedy, transitions, and trickery. Like the Skrulls transition into other people to trick others into thinking that they're something that they are not. Then we get this shot of the Department of Damage Control agents. So I've talked before about how the DoDC is becoming more and more prominent in the MCU. They've been featured most recently in Spider-Man No Way Home, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk. The DoDC has become increasingly antagonistic towards superheroes. So could this agency have been compromised and are now under Skrull control? Are Skrulls using this agency to abduct superhumans and take their place in this world? Remember, Skrulls can replicate down to the cell, meaning they can replicate powers too. The DoDC agents are then seen opening a metal box labeled A-R4, and in the box, if you look very closely, we can see your mom.
What's in the box?
Then we see Emilia Clarke's character entering what looks like a laboratory. The top word on the door translates rights to outsiders. So we think this is probably an equivalent to an authorized personnel only type of sign. If you can read Russian, let us know how wrong we are down in the comments below.
Or I'm sure they will, comrade.
So what they're building in this lab looks kind of like Doc Ock's fusion reactor from Spider-Man 2.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
We get a shot a little later of Nick Fury walking into the same lab. Now, if I'm going to wildly speculate on what this machine could be, I'm going to say teleporter, because it's a way for the Skrulls to easily get their hosts of armies into Earth for a full-on invasion. Here we have a shot of a Skrull roaring, and it seems to be covered in Skrull blood.
Blood? I don't see any blood.
Well, Skrull blood isn't red.
What's red? Man, I'm colorblind.
Then what did... Alright, never mind. So I think that this Skrull is actually Talos. I'm pretty sure that's the same jacket that we've seen him wearing throughout the trailer. Now the question is, why would he be covered in Skrull blood? Is he bleeding, or is it another Skrull's blood? Maybe he had to kill a fellow Skrull to save the people that are standing around him. But now they're looking at him like he too is a monster. When Fury says that he's the last person standing between them and what they really want, we can only assume that the them is the villainous Skrulls, and what they really want is world domination. We also hear Fury say that this is his war, making me wonder if he feels responsible for whatever reason the Skrulls went bad. We then see what looks like a presidential motorcade leaving a small airport. A helicopter then comes into frame and fires a missile at the motorcade. So we can confirm that this is a presidential motorcade because here we see a DC license plate that reads 800-002. That license plate number has been used on every presidential vehicle since President Clinton. Inside the vehicle we can see actor Dermot Mulroney, who is playing the President of the United States, President Ritson, according to leaked set photos from this production. With the President of the United States being a character in this series, I think that makes it even more likely that Rhodey is not a senator or anything like that, but that he's likely serving in a cabinet position, most likely Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense. Now the question is it the Skrulls who are attacking the President, or is it Nick Fury who's attacking a Skrull who is posing as the President? So this show is shaping up to be a political thriller, more akin to The Winter Soldier than to this. It seems to be combining elements of political thrillers like 3 Days of the Condor with classic sci-fi elements from films like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now, if you haven't seen those Body Snatchers films, they're about plant-like aliens invading Earth by slowly assuming the forms of humans, and the humans try to stop them before it's too late. The most interesting aspect of this show is that, we have no idea who's a Skrull, or how long they've been a Skrull. A few years ago, Nandu V Movies put out a great video where he theorized that Rhodey has always been a Skrull, and that would explain some of his suspicious behavior. For instance, why he stole Tony's Iron Man suit and delivered it straight to the government. Sharon Carter is also a strong possibility because her actions in Captain America Civil War directly led to the huge conflict between the heroes.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, she brought Cap and Sam their gear, which allowed them to fight Iron Man at the airport.
Oh.
And also, who knows what's going on with Sharon Carter now? We think she's a weapons dealer called the Power Broker, but maybe this is all also part of a big Skrull plot that is secretly stretching its tendrils throughout Phase 4. But I'm also very curious to find out how long Fury has been a Skrull. See, I got a theory on that. So ever since the 90s, Fury knows about the Skrulls. He knows about aliens, and then he becomes director of S.H.I.E.L.D. After Thor fights the Destroyer of Mexico, and after the Battle of New York, he realizes that he can't wait for these threats to come to Earth. And I think this is when he begins to make his plans to leave the planet. Then, after the events of the Winter Soldier, he realizes that without S.H.I.E.L.D., he has no reason to stay on Earth. So Samuel L. Jackson then appeared on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the aftermath of Winter Soldier. So I think this scene
I'll be everywhere
is actually the last time we saw the real Nick Fury before that Far From Home post-credits scene.
Why do you think that?
Well, because remember, Skrulls have a hard time replicating long-term memories. Fury told us this about himself.
A toast is cut diagonally, I can't eat it.
And in Age of Ultron, we see Fury eating bread that is cut diagonally because Fury is a Skrull. I think that when they wrote that line in Captain Marvel, they went through the MCU and they found behavior that they could point to later on and say, oh, that was not the real Fury, he was a Skrull. So they found this scene of Samuel L. Jackson eating a sandwich in Age of Ultron and said, let's do something with that. In that Age of Ultron scene, Fury also has this weird line in his monologue.
Here we all are, back on Earth.
Here we are, back on Earth, which to me definitely sounds like something an alien would say when they arrive on our planet.
Remember the story, we're newlyweds on our way to Earth capital.
Oh, Shazbut.
So those are all the Easter eggs that we found, but if you found any, let us know in the comments below, or you can @me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, be sure to subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.